Okay, geometry. Hello, this is Mr. Arno again. So last week, the videos I gave you, a couple of videos I gave you guys were about lines, line segments, which had endpoints. Lines do not, they go on forever. That's why they have arrows. We talked about rays, which have one endpoint at one end, but at the other end it goes on forever. We talked about connecting two rays together, and when you do that, you end up getting an angle. Okay. We talked about acute angles, which are smaller than 90 degrees. Okay, because a 90-degree angle was called a right angle. So that's 90 degrees. Anything smaller than 90, for example, I don't know, 63 degrees, or 12 degrees, or 84 degrees, 89 degrees, 78 degrees, 31 degrees. Anything smaller than 90 was called an acute angle. And if it's larger than 90, so let's say, I don't know, 134 degrees, it's called an obtuse angle. Okay? And then lastly, we talked about, well, what if it is all the way up to, let me adjust that real quick, all the way up to, it opens up, an angle opens up so much, it's basically a straight line. At that point, once it's a straight line, that is just 180 degrees, because it's 180 degrees is basically like having two 90 degrees next to each other. 90 and a 90 together is 180. Well, that was called a straight angle. A straight angle. And then we talked about what's called a linear pair. Okay, and what was a linear pair? That's very important. I'm going to talk about that right now. A linear pair was this. So let's take a straight angle, okay, which is 180 degrees. But let's say there's two angles that make up that straight angle. And we said, for example, well, let's make this 30 degrees. This little angle right here, this acute angle is 30. Well, then what would this entire, this obtuse angle be here, right here? Well, let's think about it. If an entire straight angle is 180 degrees, and I'm giving you the 30 degrees, basically, I want you to imagine with scissors, you cut out this 30 degrees. You cut out, you subtract 30 from this 180. What will be left over? So if I cut out the 30, so with imaginary scissors, I cut out this 30, I'm going to be left with what? Well, 180 minus 30 is 150 degrees. So that's it right there. That's 150 degrees. So that's what you're going to need to know this week. Okay, something like that. That's one of the things you're going to. So let's do another example. In a straight angle, and I'm going to give this angle right here. I have two angles. I'm going to give you the obtuse angle this time. And the obtuse angle I'm going to say is 125 degrees. And for this angle, I'm not going to put a question mark. I'm going to put an X, meaning, hey, I don't know what that is. Can you tell me what that is? All right. Well, there's two ways you can do this. You know the entire thing, the entire straight angle is 180 degrees. And what did I give you already? I already gave you 125. So if I were to take out, subtract, or cut out this 125, what would I be left with? Let's think about this. So we're going to do 180 minus 125. Of course, you can use a calculator. Either way, your answer is going to end up being 55. I'm just fast forwarding it, okay? That answer is going to be 55 degrees. And if you notice what I'm doing, whenever you put an angle measure, you always kind of put it on that inside corner inside that angle, okay? So I'm putting 55 degrees here. So I know x is equal to 55 because it's x degrees. We know that's 55. We just figured it out. What's another way I can double check it? Simple. If that's 55 degrees, if I add 55 plus 125, well, they're a linear pair, meaning they make up a line. What should a linear pair add up to? It should always add up to 180. Let's try it. Let's see if that adds up to 180. And 1. Yep, that's it. That's 180 degrees. Now, there's another way to set this problem up. We'll get the same answer as x equals 55. I just want to show it to you. It's probably a better way of setting it up, okay? I just use common sense. Here's another way of setting it up. I got this angle, which is x. I'm going to make an equation. I got this angle, which is 125. We just did this. If I add these two, I'm going to show it as an equation, okay? X plus 125 would equal to what again? So these two linear pairs should add up to a whole straight line, which is 180. And look at that. You have a simple algebra problem right there. How do I solve this? Subtract the 125. Subtract the 125. We're left with x equals 180 minus 125. That might seem a little bit longer, but this is actually a better method because when you get more and more complex problems later on, doing it like this is a little more organized. You'll be able to figure out the problem. Okay, but it doesn't matter to me which method you use right now, just as long as you get the right answer. So we're going to do 180 minus 125, which is, of course, 55. We got our answer. All right, so let me take this, but I want to step it up a notch. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there. I'll put another problem here, but I'm going to step it up a notch, okay? So this time I'm going to make it a little more complex. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to write down, I'm going to put 60 for this. And then over here, I'm going to put, no, not 60. I take that back. I'm going to put 20 degrees for this. And over here, I'm going to put 2x. Okay, so it's not an x, but this time it's a 2x. And my question is going to be, what is x? Okay, so we're going to solve for x. Solve for x. Well, it's going to be hard to do this in our head because, like, okay, this is 20, so what would this be? But then again, this isn't just x, this is 2x, so it's not exactly what that would be. Well, we're going to make an equation like that one. It's a lot easier, okay? Linear pair equals to 180. A whole linear pair equals to 180. So what does this linear pair consist of? Two angles. So let's take it. That's 2x. And if I add 2x with 20, that gives me a line. So 2x plus the 20 should equal to a straight line, which is 180. Now we just solve it. Algebra, here we go. Minus 20, minus 20. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Bring down the 2x. This is gone. Equals 180 minus 20 is 160. Last step, that's 2 times x. Okay, opposite of multiplying is dividing. I'm going to divide by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other, divide by 2. I'm left with x equals 160 divided by 2. Again, you can use a calculator. Maybe be like, oh wait, 160, that's too big of a number. I'll give you a little hint, okay? Again, you can use a calculator, but a little hint here. Forget about that 0 right now. Think about 16 divided by 2. How many times does 2 go into 16? That's 8. And then just add the 0 at the very end. 80. Okay? And we got our answer. You want to double check it? Let's double check it. Is x going to be 80? Well, let's find out. If this is 2x, that means it's 2 times 80. 2 times 80 is 160. And what should 160 and 20 add up to be a straight line? That should be 180. So 120 plus 60 is 180 because 180 is a straight line. That's it. Okay, so that's that one. There's one more thing I want to show you guys before this video is done, and this would be it. This is the only video you're going to need for this week. It's only one video. I'm not doing multiple parts. Only one video you need for this week. Okay, so here's the second type of problem you're going to see. This time we're not dealing with angles. We're not going to deal with an angle because we're not talking about straight lines. Lines have arrows. Remember that, okay? Lines have arrows. We're going to be talking about a segment. I'm not going to put any angles on it. Just putting a segment. You can measure this with a ruler if you want. It's 15 inches or 16 inches or 14 and a half inches. I don't know. But you can measure this with a ruler. I don't care about the inches right now. I don't care about centimeters. I'm just going to make up some number, okay? I'm going to say this entire thing, I'm going to label it. I'm going to label it AB. This is segment AB. I can write segment AB like that, okay? I'm going to tell you segment AB is equal to 20 inches. Okay, IN for inches. 20 inches. Is it really 20 inches? Nah, probably not. I'm just making it up. So AB is equal to 20 inches. That's great. But now I'm going to say this. Well, right in the middle here, where's the middle? something like that. I'm not actually going to measure it. I'm just going to do middle. I'm going to put the letter M. And I'm going to say M is it's the point that's in the middle of AB. What's the name for that? Simple. It is the midpoint. See what that sounds like? Middle point. It's the point that's in the middle. Now, I'm not perfect, so I didn't use a ruler for this. I don't have to be perfect. As long as I tell you M is the midpoint, you just assume I'm perfect. I did it perfectly and M is the midpoint, okay? You know, you might say like, oh, your drawing's not perfect. Doesn't look like it's exactly, doesn't matter, okay? As long as I say M is the midpoint, it's the midpoint. Simple as that. You don't have to like second guess it or get a ruler. Don't worry about that, okay? You're never going to be needing a ruler for anything like this, okay? So this is 20 inches. Now here's my question, okay? If AB, this whole thing from here to here, is 20 inches, what would, for example, AM be? Just this segment right here, AM. Well, if the whole thing is 20, and that's the middle, that would be halfway. Okay, so half that would be 10 inches. And so if that's 10 inches, that other half, MB, must also be 10 inches. Okay, so AM is 10. What if I asked for MB? Well, if I said MB, MB would also equal 10 inches. There's another way I can ask this. I can ask you, instead of saying AM, I can say MA. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. MA, just talking about this right here, that would be 10 inches. How about I said BM? Sure, that would be 10 inches. What if I said BA? BA to A is all this, which is 20 inches. Okay, so that's what a midpoint is. Now, we're going to take that up a bit and we're going to spice it up. So, keeping that idea, I'm going to erase this. I'm going to erase all of this. I am still going to tell you this information. I shouldn't have erased that. M is the midpoint. Okay, so I'm still going to say M is the midpoint. All right, so let's keep that still the midpoint. Except this time we're going to change it up a bit. I'm going to tell you guys, instead of writing out AM is this much, MB is this much, and yada, 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 I'm actually going to label it right on the segment, okay? So I'm going to go AM is, let's go AM is 18. 18 what? Doesn't matter. Inches, centimeters, whatever you want to say, okay? MB, I'm going to label MB as, give me 1 second. I'm going to label MB as 2x 2x plus 4. Okay, so that's a little different here. That's 18, that's 2x plus 4. Now my question here is, what would we do? Do you remember in the last problem, I'm asking you to solve for x. Solve for x. I didn't tell you what AB is this time. I didn't say AB is 20. I didn't say AB is this, AB is that. No, I didn't tell you anything. All I said is AM is 18, and this is 2x plus 4. You remember, let's recall the last problem that we did. The last problem we did, this whole thing was 20. And so the halves, and this is the midpoint, the halves were 10 and 10. It had to be 10 and 10 because 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay? Well, let's think about this for a second. If this is 18, half of it right here is 18, well then what does this half also have to be? It also has to be 18. So who is 18? That guy is 18 and this guy is. Ready? So we're going to write down 2x plus 4, make an equation, is equal to 18. And we're going to solve this. Ready? So that's going to be minus 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 2x equals 14. And last step, I'm going to divide by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Divide by 2. I'm left with x equals 7. And that is absolutely the correct answer. X equals 7. Now, I want to double check this because I don't necessarily believe it. Double check that x does actually. Okay. So what I'm going to go here is I'm going to plug in 7 in the place of x. That's going to be 2 times 7, which is 14, and then plus 4, which is 18. Yes, it works. That's 18, that's 18. Now, one last thing I want to show you guys before we move on. What if instead of asking you to solve for x here, I said, hey, what's AB equal to? Think about that for a second. I don't ask you what x is. That's great. You found x. X is equal to 7. this thing is equal to 18, great, that's cute. But what if I asked you, hey, I want you to find the measure of segment AB, A to B. Well, we know this is 18, and we know this has to be 18, okay? Even if I didn't give you anything here, I didn't even give you the 2x plus 4, I literally gave you nothing. I just gave you AM is 18. I say find the whole thing. Well, if this is 18, that must be 18. And so what's the whole thing? 18 plus 18 is 30. Right? So that's about what you need to know, an understanding of what the midpoint is, an understanding of what um, angles, sorry, linear pairs are. Okay, we did a linear pair and solving it that way. And that's about it. Until next time, you guys. So let me flip over for homework questions. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. All right, homework questions. This is it. So only one video for this week. The homework questions are find the measure of AB. Okay. And again, Q is the midpoint. I said Q is the midpoint. This one, I say F is the midpoint, and I say solve for X. I want you to find X. Number 3 here, I say find a measure of QBS. So I want to know what QBS is. QBS. So I'm essentially asking for that angle right there. Okay. And then lastly over here, I'm saying solve for X. Okay, so that should look familiar. So this is going to go under YouTube homework. You're going to take a picture of your homework once you're done. You're going to upload it onto YouTube homework. Tomorrow you will see your practice test uploaded. You're going to do that also on a separate sheet of paper, and you're going to upload that under where it says practice homework. And then remember, Thursday we have tutoring hour, and Friday we have the test. All right, and don't forget to do your Khan Academy also, which was available. I gave it yesterday, and everything is due on Friday.